Tell me more about your relationship as well with your dad, influence and role he played in your life.
So my dad's, I remember. So my dad got dash from my house. He was, I'd say I was about 6. I can't remember exactly the age. Might even been a bit older than that. Like, I don't remember much about my dad being in the house apart from music. My dad was like a DJ and
that explains a lot.
Like, he had records everywhere. Like I grew up just seeing Isley Brothers and just all them things, and that's probably the biggest memory I have of living with him.
It's a massive influence on you too.
Yeah, no, but I remember the day when they finished and he sat us down. It was weird. Like, he sat us down on like stairs. Like I said before, house is huge, and like below my house, my nan's brother lived downstairs. So he was like my granddad, my Uncle Sam. But he sat us down on the stairs and he said, "Yeah, I'm not gonna I'm leaving now, and I don't know when I'm gonna see you again." And I remember at the time thinking, "Fuck, like, wow, like." But I'd known something had happened because I remember like hearing like madness in the house and whatever. But that conversation there, like, you know, like I remember the lighting, everything. Remember the stairs that I was sitting on, and he said, "Yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna see you again." I was like, I don't even remember asking no questions. I just remember that comment there. I was like, okay, right, like, you know, didn't really, like, I honestly thought, I don't know when I'm going to see my dad again. And from then, you know, he kept, because it was a very family orientated house, so, you know, cousins would be there, uncles, like, it was, apart from Brockley, this was like the next family house. Everyone always used to come there. But I'd you know, we got used, me and my sister's 2 years younger than me, we got used to not seeing my dad. And it got to a point, you know, the reason why he had to go was because he was seeing another woman. My mum found out. So what then happened was I'd start spending weekends at, I don't even like to say my dad's house, his girlfriend's house. Because when I used to go and stay with my dad, he'd be around, like, he'd take us there, but then I might not see him again. For the whole time. I'd be with his girlfriend.
Yeah. So what did your mum have to say about that?
I don't think my mum really. My mum always saw. My mum never really said nothing bad about my dad. She saw it as, right. He's taking him. He's taking the kids. Yeah, like that's their time. I don't ever remember coming back and talking about what we've done on the weekend. I don't remember them talking because I don't think they had a great relationship at first. Now they can talk and everything's cool. But I just remember, you know, being there and like he would either be sleeping or working, like, and it would just be me, my sister, eventually my other sister as well, and his girlfriend at the time.
It's mad.
What would you say? Yeah, sorry, go on.
It's mad that you say that because I remember, like I said, my mum and my dad broke up at when I was 13, 14. And I remember my dad sitting us down also as well. And I remember, because my dad's one of them guys that very rare, like in my whole entire life, in terms of emotion, I can remember one time, and it's the same time that my dad showed emotion, and he was tearful. And I was thinking, raw, like, this is big news. Like, my dad is never the guy to shed tears. And he sat us down and he was like, yeah, I can't remember the exact word, but basically he was saying like, yeah, but like being a mum, I'm going to be together again, and I might not be around for a little while, but I'm going to be around. I just need to sort myself out, blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking to myself, shit. But like yourself, I had already heard like throughout the house, the arguments and everything that had led up to this point. Do you know what I mean? And then, like I said, I idolise my dad, still do to this day. So I was like, raw, like, you need to be about, innit? It affected my sister a lot worse than it affected me, because I had already built up that relationship with my dad to the point where, you know what, he really couldn't do any wrong in my eyes. Do you see what I'm saying? Because he's my dad, he's my idol. You see what I'm saying? So I had heard that my dad had obviously cheated on my mum, but I was still like, no, he's my dad. You get me? It was still like.
So you know, with regards to arguing, both of you, you said you heard the arguments leading up to the situation. Does that play any role in how you are now when you've got a disagreement with your partners?
Yeah,
and so forth?
definitely.
For me, I try to keep that aside. If I'm gonna have a disagreement, I'll wait till the kid's out of the way before.
100%. 100%. I hate, and it has happened. We've had arguments, like big arguments, and the children haven't seen, but they've heard in like next room and whatnot. And for me, that was like the kid that killed me, because like I'm just repeating
what you've seen.
what's happened. Do you see what I'm saying? And them kind of things I've vowed to myself like that I ain't gonna do it. You hear me? So I kind of felt like a failure then. But then I looked at it and thought like,
It's part of life.
It's part of life, and I didn't turn out bad. You know what I mean? So it doesn't mean that
it can be a lesson.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be
Everything's
knowledge.
not perfect.
Yeah, 100%. Everything that you kind of take on in the subconscious obviously plays an effect and ultimately shows you the real world.
Yeah.
Let me just move on to yourself. What was your relationship with your dad like? Was he with you? Was he not?
No, he wasn't around. My relationship with my dad was very... I left Dominica when I was 6. So even before then, I don't remember much of it. From age 5, he wasn't really around like that. But my whole issue with him is that... So I've been here about 20 years now.
Okay.
Since I've been here, I've spoken to him on the phone once.
Wow.
And I've seen him once. He came over here for my brother's wedding.
Okay.
And I was fixing the lock. I was changing the lock on my brother's door. And he walked up. Now, at that time, I didn't see him for 11 years. So imagine not seeing your father for 11 years. So when he's walking up, my heart's beating. I'm like, rah, this guy, I ain't spoken to him, I ain't seen him for 11 years. And he's walking up to me. He says, good morning. I said, good morning. And that's it.
And that was it.
That's it.
Yeah, he walked past me, he went in the house. And that's it. He went in the house and sit down. And after that, we never spoke again.
What's
Did you not invite him to the
what's
wedding?
your
Did you not
feeling?
invite him to your wedding?
No, because my dad don't live here. My dad's in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So he wasn't invited to the wedding. But it wasn't. So with my sisters now, I've reconnected with a lot of my sisters. So he's affected my relationship with my sisters, my older sisters, because he was sort of in and out of relationships with my mum and my sister's mum and all that. So me and my sisters didn't grow up together. And it was only about 2 months ago I learned from my older sisters, because I when I was talking to her, I said to her, I used to think you guys used to hate me because they would never, like, we didn't grow up together. You know, they grew up in different houses and all that, and just because of what he was doing. And for me, it was very hurtful to me growing up because they lived in his house. They were in his house and I was out. And like you guys know my story of how I grew up. So growing up in a poor village, and my dad was well off me. He was like an insurance salesman, so he had a nice house, got a really big house and all that. So seeing them in the house and I'm outside, I'm always like, well, why am I the rejected one? So it always used to hurt me.
Did that build up resentment for them and and your dad, or just your dad?
Both of them, all of them. So I felt like they hated me. Like I said to you, only a few months ago, I learned, really sat down and spoke to my sisters, reconnected with them, and they were explaining a lot of things to me, and I hear it from that side. You know what I mean? And yeah, of course, I resented my dad for a long time. So my point of telling you that is that they think that I was bitter towards him and I hated him. But I don't hate my dad. I don't hate him. And like you guys said, now you got older, you realise certain things were hard, and you know, you kind of get to, okay, this is what happened, and I don't hate him. I used to hate him when I was younger. I was raging all the time. I used to cry about it all the time, but I don't do that anymore. And I'm grown now, I've got children on my own and blah, blah, blah. I would like him to be there for my children.
Question.
You know what I mean?
And this is for everybody. Because there seems to be a kind of common theme, not everybody, but a common theme amongst us, that our dads have basically gone out and being man them, gone out, got other women pregnant, and it has an effect on everybody. It has an effect on not just your mum, you, and also other children. Like my dad's got, I've got about 5 sisters outside of the relationship that he had with my mum, and I'm cool with like 4 of them. Like one of them I don't really chat to too much. But so the question is, like, seeing how your dad has been in terms of other women and having other children, does that make you feel like, you know what, I need to be a one-woman man, or I need to be more careful about what I'm doing because I don't want to bring in other children for other women?
That made me think of that.
I think that logically you'll think you're gonna do different, but the sad thing about reality, as a man with daughters, is that you have to realize that you often follow in the same footsteps. So logically, you're like, no, I'm not doing that, man. Really, you follow.
Yeah.
I think that to some degree, I think me and my cousins kind of have followed our fathers.
Yeah.
But I think it does definitely have an effect on you
Yeah,
because you think it's normal. It's normal. Like for me, the whole like stepmom, dad's different stepmom, different half brothers and sisters. Like to me, that's all I know. I don't know any different.
Yeah.
So you kind of follow it and then you recreate it in your own life.
Yeah.
So I think
For me, obviously, I think I've been very fortunate where my children with one woman and I'm still with her. With my dad, I still haven't up to this day. I've never seen him face to face. We've never sat down, spoke, nothing like that. When I went to the States to find him, at the point when I got there, he was in a coma, not in the States, so I didn't get to see him. We had to skip that and let it go. He's since reached out to me and stated how much I love you. You need to let you know I love you. I don't need to hear that now. I'm 36 years old, but whilst it might mean something to you, to me, after all these years of not hearing from you, that doesn't carry any weight for me. Even I don't respect the fact that, like, I've got a sister, and I only spoke to my sister for the first time last year. Now, for me, your responsibility is to make sure that me and her know each other. I know we're not in the same country, but you should make sure that me and her know each other. Now, I've had to do all that by my damn self. I asked him, what's my sister's name? How can I trace her? And he was blasé with the situation. She eventually found me. Yeah. Now
So basically, he didn't want to tell you.
I don't know what it was. I didn't get it. I just didn't understand what you're holding back.
Why would you do that?
So
I
is it
didn't
a
get it.
shame thing?
I didn't understand it, and she eventually found me, and we've spoken since.
Yeah.
But I just felt for him, I don't want to be nothing like that. I don't see how you can have a child and just get on with your life.
And just
I
accept
think
it.
he's
That's
still,
what-
for
yeah, I
example,
don't understand that.
he speaks more to my mum now than he does to me.
Exactly. I'm
And
in
I
the
feel
same
that
situation.
it's like if he could get my mum back tomorrow, he would do that rather than build a relationship with me. And I can't respect that for one
That's
second.
insane.
So my
still
mother
insane.
speaks to my
Men
dad
still- it's
today.
still,
She speaks to him all the time. The only reason why they don't talk now because he was upset because my mum didn't invite him, tell him that I was getting married. It's not my mum's responsibility.
Do you know the thing I think?
I could have done that.
Sorry,
So, hold on.
yeah,
2006, yeah. I went to Dominica and I actually went to his house. My mum gave me some stuff to give to him, and I went to his door, knocked on the door. He came out and he said, I gave him the stuff. And I said, "This is from mum." He said, come inside. No, while I was walking off, I gave him this thing and he took it. I was walking off. He said, "Why don't I check for him and stuff like that?" And I said, "Well, you weren't there for me." And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You weren't there for me." He said, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Growing up, you weren't there for me." I said, "You was never around. You never called me when I left Dominica. You never checked for me, nothing like that." He said, "I don't know what you're talking about. Come, let's go inside and talk about it." I said, "I'm not going in your house. What am I going in your house for? When I was here, you didn't want me here. You took me out." And then he threw the stuff back to me. He said, "You don't want it." I said, "It's not you."
It's not you, yeah.
It's my mum gifted it to you. So, like, and then that's to me that mentality just
It's mad.
But is it? Sorry, you get your,
I'm gonna answer.
Yeah.
Go on.
But is that like I'm just going by my dad's situation? I remember, like I said, like my sister was affected much more than I was when because he went around for about 6 months to a year. He went around, and she took that a lot worse.
What's
than,
this? You was 15 at this time.
About 14, 15. Yeah, about 14.
Yeah.
But then I look at it, and even to this day, how he interacts with her is like, for him to even, I don't know, speak to her harshly, or like, there's times where I think, right, Dad, just tell her off, man. But he won't do it because it's like he feels that, oh, I weren't there for a little while, so I don't have the right to
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? So I just wonder, it's like being a man now. Is it like? And trying to understand where they were coming from. Is it a shame thing? Like, you know what? I weren't there, so I don't really feel like
I do feel you lose the right.
the authority to
I think.
you know what I
Let
mean?
me.
Yeah, just to, obviously, I want to make sure you answer the question in terms of what Darren put out there. I'll answer, and then we'll kind of move on. But yeah, sorry, Karen.
I'm saying that I don't think they lose the right. I think that in their own head, they feel they don't have the right to.
Yes.
And I think that that's different because you still have the right because you're still the parent. Even if you were not there at the point, and you might not have been there, you're there right now. And as we talked about you talked about hierarchical systems. They're still an adult. You know, they're still big people, and without them, you wouldn't be there. I do believe you should earn it.
Right. Okay.
I think yeah. So I do believe you should earn the right. I think you should
agree.
earn the right by your presence now.
Yeah.
So you don't just want to turn up when you want to.
Yeah.
But going back to the other point of you talking about the
Relationship.
the relationships and the sibling bit, like how I've grown up. Like I grew up like what you're saying. I just didn't want to be my dad. Like for me, I never want to be dad. And what he said is so true. You end up being what you don't want to be in some ways, and you fight it, but
You're
it's
running
almost
away from that thing
genetic.
and run into
But
it.
you run away from it, but it's actually that is what you're programmed to do because that's what you've seen.
Jay, you made a point earlier. Remember when we was talking in the corridor? That point that you made, I want to see if you guys agree with this as well, because I think you agreed. You remember you saying it should be the children.
Yeah. Big man don't look for picnic.
Yeah,
Should look for big man.
So
Yeah.
I was in
Say
disagreement.
that again. Explain that to me.
I'll explain it.
I was in disagreement with that point.
And I need to understand what you're
Right,
saying.
so I'm saying so we've grown up with this whole thing that big man shouldn't go and look for kids. Yeah, children. No, wait. So if I'm the child, yeah, I'm supposed to go and look for my dad. Yeah, or the person's supposed to bring me. This is what I'm just saying. Remember, I'm a little bit older than you lot. Yeah. So it's big man. It was big man. Don't go and look for Pitney. Pitney's supposed to go and look for big man.
Yeah.
That's
I
wait.
think
I can hear you.
Hold
I
on,
can
hold
see.
on,
I can hear his heart. You know. I can hear his heart going.
Hey, D, I'm with you
I
right
can
now,
hear his
though.
heart
I'm
going.
with you.
I can hear his heart going. But
you're
remember,
first
you
to
can
respond.
go. You can go.
finish.
But what I'm trying to say to you is, the reason why I was saying that is I was explaining my dad's relationship with my grandchildren.
Okay.
And what I was saying is the fact that I used to take my children all the time to see their grandfather established the relationship that they have now. Now I know that if I'd have just left my kids where they were, they come from that generation. Big man don't go and look for picnic. You understand what I'm trying to say to you? So I'm saying to you, I'm not saying I agree with it, you know, but I'm saying if you grow up with that, big man don't look for picnic, picnic's supposed to look for big man, you're not gonna go and decide to go at your house to go and look for your children or whatever, whatnot.
For me,
go check your big.
that creates problems in families. Now, I say that because I'm not close to my grandma. Yeah.
Did you go and check for your grandma?
Right. As growing up, my mum forced me to make phone calls every week to check on her. But as I got older,
That's the reason why, because of that.
right,
Big man,
right, but as I got older, I decided, hold on a second. So I must call you, but you don't call me.
Yeah.
I'm not down with that. So I cut it off. Yeah. And as I've cut that off, as I've cut it off, you don't call for me and I don't call for you. You don't ring my birthday, I don't ring yours. And as far as I'm concerned, respect goes both ways. Yeah. I don't think you can bring a child into this world and then come with the attitude that big man don't look for children. It's your responsibility. Yeah,
don't
to
know.
look for those children.
I don't know.
I get that.
That is mad.
It's a cultural thing, but at the same time, it's the biggest load of bullshit ever in terms of.
Bro, you know my
in
grandma's
terms of-
never,
hear what I'm
ever
saying?
called me.
In terms of the saying itself, I totally do agree with Dwayne. I think it's a load of bullshit because how can it be the child's responsibility to
can't have a child like that
maintain
you
a
don't care
relationship?
about.
It doesn't actually. When you actually think about it, it doesn't make sense.
Not
I
at
get the thinking
don't
of
think
that
it-
generation
But
at that time.
the thinking of it
but
is
it's
that
not-
you as the
it's not
adult,
actually right.
I'm the child of my mum, and my mum has got her mum. I'm supposed to bring my child to see my to
I
see
get
my
that, that's
mum.
fine.
Yeah, but that's the same saying. But that's the saying in that. But I'm not
it's-
saying
yeah,
the
it's
child
not-
itself.
I
It's
get
not the
that.
child
But
itself.
in
It's
terms-
the
I
parent
get the concept
taking
of
the
what
child
you're
to see your parent.
That's cool.
That's what big man don't look for picnic. Picnic's supposed to look for big man. That's what it means. You as the parent are supposed to take your child to see the grandparent. I'm not saying that the grandparent can't come and see you. Yeah, I'm not saying that the grandparent can't come and
But
see
my
you.
whole thing is that
Grandparents
I'm
can't come
saying
and
the
see us.
grandparents should have more. They should
but
take
even
more.
now-
But they don't, man.
still
They're
think
old, man. They don't like travelling.
But this is what I'm trying to say. Just because it is culturally that way, it doesn't mean that it's right.
right.
We just
Yeah,
have an
no.
acceptance for it because it is that way.
Yeah.
They should.
We need
you know
to
what I'm saying?
change
They
that.
should, and
What the
that's
difference is,
exactly what it is.
what the
we
issue
should.
is-
We should change it.
What the issue is that there are people who are still intertwined with the olden ways, and there are people who are like Dwayne, like yourself, who are more towards the modern ways.
Change.
Because when you said that resonated with me. Because
Yeah, same.
because I totally understand that. Like in regards to even now, in regards to like my aunts, my grandma, and whatnot, I will bring my children to go and see them.
So
Do
do
you know
I.
what I mean?
I know,
And they
yeah.
don't
Come-
and the reality of it is not because they're purposely saying to themselves, you know what, I ain't going to see Darren and his children. It's just that it's just seen that, you know what, Darren, bring your children to come and see me.
I
And-
get
and-
that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. Yeah.
You go even now as a big man.
Yeah,
I'm
go on, let
to
me
go check my uncles. I'm to go check my grandma. I'm to go me. Not that much child. The younger man. I'm to go show that respect. I'm to go to you.
Yeah.
You put to sit there in your little chair as an old man. I'm to go to you.
Yeah.
You feel me?
And what I was saying is,
See them
I
in
was
their
saying that the
domain.
time we
Yeah,
have with them,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
saying the
yeah.
time we have, because I'm saying, right, our children, we're gonna spend the longest time with our children. The grandparents, if you live you live a good life, they're gonna go before you go. So you got to make sure that your children spend the most time with their grandparents they can, and get that's
Alright, let me-
that's the
let me-
argument.
let
That's
me
my
come in,
thing. That's
please.
my thing. With going
Right,
Greg.
so the only thing that I would say is that the generations, in terms of what I experience, are slightly different now, because my kids' grandparents are very much younger. Yeah, so it's not that thing of it's and there's no disrespect to anyone's grandmother, by the way. You know, the whole rocking chair thing. Grandma just rocking there waiting for someone to knock the door. Nah, but like my mum might roll up on you know what I'm saying, or my wife's mum will just come to the house and they have their own relationship. Do you understand what I mean? Which has been developed, but at the same time. Yes, I think initially it is for the adult or guardian to make sure that there is that contact and that knowledge. But then it becomes the adult's responsibility to maintain that relationship, in my opinion, anyway.
And I totally agree with that. And the funny thing you say that, it was maybe a week and a half ago. I was at my granddad's 77th birthday, and he sat me down and said to me, "You don't bring the kids to see me." Yeah, and I felt guilty. Yeah, not because I agree with what you're saying, but I felt. At the age of my children, it is my responsibility to make sure that they are able to see him, and I don't do it. And he doesn't live far away, but I just think how convenient it is to me, and I think it's a selfish way of thinking, and I do believe that I should take the time to get the kids there. So I do agree in some aspects of it, but there has to be some responsibility of the adult as well to maintain.
But I'm saying
relationship.
with that older generation, just to
Yeah.
close on this bit, with the older generation that you're talking about, that 77-year-old grandfather that's sitting in his house, that would love to get on the bus every week
Yeah,
and come to
and
see
I-
you.
I do agree,
And
that's
that
slightly different.
and I think that's where that saying has been passed down
Yes.
from my grandfather down to my all the way down. I think it's as you said, it's a generational thing. And as you said, grandparents are younger now.
Yeah.
So and they're more mobile. And maybe if you was in
So
if
that
we was
saying
in the
doesn't
Caribbean,
apply to as
yeah,
much.
Yeah, because
I remember it's in the
because I wasn't
Caribbean.
pushing it to grandparents. I was more pushing it to father and son.
Yeah.
that's why-
No.
that's where I don't
No,
agree.
I don't
Yeah,
agree. I don't agree with it
I
with father and
wasn't
son.
pushing it to grandparents.
No,
I
no,
totally agree
no.
with taking your children to see grandparents.
Okay.
But then there's
pushing it to that.
there's a respect thing. And the issue we're struggling with right now is in society today, as we're seeing on these streets, that there's a lack of respect.
Yes.
Now the respecting starts with boom. You're the big man. I'm to respect you. I'm to come to you. You see me.
Tied that
I'm
so nicely.
I'm 32 years old now, yeah. But guess what? I'm not a big man like a 50-year-old man's a big man. I still understand this. Like, you're a 50-year-old man, 60-year-old man. You're a big man, bigger than me. I'm not a man like you're a man. So I'm to still come to you and still be like, bro, you know what? Let me come. So that's what they're trying to install in us. So because we've lost little parts of it, we lost the whole thing.
Parts of
If you
it
keep
are
the
being
whole,
mistranslated,
if you keep the whole modular of the respect versus you're a big man to me. I'm a big man to him. He's a big man to me. The elders.
Exactly,
If you
yeah.
keep that structure, then what's happening right now today with this killing and all this madness and
wouldn't
this
happen.
respect
Wouldn't be happening.
wouldn't be happening. We've lost society in this whole Western whatever. We've lost our structure, which was the elders. And
Because youngers no
There's
longer
people, you
youngers
feel
no
me?
longer look
There's
at
a whole-
any
yeah,
older
there's a whole
with any
process.
respect.
And
They
they
just look at
become-
you as another person.
yeah, man,
like
it's
like
mad.
Unless
you
you're
and
a bad
them
man.
like you and them are age.
Unless you're a bad man.
And
And-
that's a mad mentality to have.
And elders are no longer pulling
It's the same, it's the
pulling
same,
youth
yeah.
aside and saying, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like you see back in
Back
in
in the
our
day, you
days,
couldn't do certain things.
bro. I remember
I
getting
hate when
go,
people
go,
say that back in our day. It just makes it sound old, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking- carry on.
I'm
Sorry,
talking
make your
about
point.
school days.
Yeah,
innit?
yeah.
Come we're grown, innit? Like going on the bus from school to home. I always had in the back of my mind, I can't act a fool too much, because anyhow I act a fool too much, like anybody could know my grandparents or know my parents. But I was more afraid of somebody knowing my grandparents. Do you see what I'm saying? And back in the day, adults would say, "Yo, what you doing?" I know your grandparents, you know, or I know your parents, you know,
I ain't trying
behave
to hear that.
yourself. Bruv, you see if I got that talking,
trying to
I
hear
was
that.
shitting myself.
It's definitely
I was
changed.
shitting
But listen,
myself.
I need to kick it on. I need to kick on. We've got a couple more things that we need to definitely cover. The first is being, and we're going to quickly go around to try and make sure we touch on everything. Life as a young adult, all right? I want to know, just pick out one mistake or the biggest mistake you made as a young adult, what it was and how it's affected you.
Wow.
Not saving.
Wow.
So, go ahead. So you want to
You
start?
go start, go on.
Yeah, I say
Not saving.
Not saving and thinking that it's always gonna come the same. I was young. I was on the road. Money's coming fast and thick. I was like, you know what? I ain't gonna buy the shirt today, but you know I'll buy it next year. Cool. Money's coming quick, right? So I didn't save. I didn't think, right, you know, it's gonna come a time where money's not gonna come as fast. Like, I just thought I was very frivolous, very like, yeah, man, I'm the man, I'm that guy. innit? Like, it's nothing. But biggest regret, I say, any young guys watching this, man, save your money, man.
Real talk.
Don't chase no one, save your money.
That's real.
Don't just spend on a girl.
Oh, sorry, who's gonna go next? Yeah.
Save
For
your
me, I think growing up, I missed the opportunity to get on the property ladder from very early. I think 18, 19, I had a friend that was on it. I had, in fact, two friends. He put another one on it, and the opportunity was there for me, and I didn't take it. And I think that was a big mistake that I made. And now it's hard to.
I missed that boat, bro.
Yeah, I missed that boat.
But I
mate.
was on it, but yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, innit? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it was hard to. I watched it go past, and at the time I didn't think anything of it. But I look back now and I think if you had
Opportunity
only
missed.
taken that opportunity, you'd be in a complete different space today. So I think missing out on getting on the ladder early was a big mistake that I made.
Next person. What you saying?
Biggest mistake. Biggest mistake. I would say the same as Jay there. I think not saving and not learning enough. I wish I had learned certain things I know now. Back then, didn't take college that serious. You know, it was all about gal and money and all of that. So I wish back then the biggest mistake was not taking in college and other certain things enough. Yeah, and saving enough money. Yeah, for me.
On top of the saving and, you know, not looking at money properly, which is something that still affects me today. Not looking at them things properly and preparing myself for what this world has. The next biggest thing would probably be hurting someone that I loved. It's like I wasn't cheating or nothing like that, but I did something that I knew would hurt her when I did it. And I think I was angry myself, and I kind of justified it in my own mind. But then the point where she actually found out, that pain within her killed me, and not only just because it hurt her, but the fact that it was that moment where I realized, fuck, you're just like your dad. And that crushed me, and if anything, it probably changed a lot of my then, not even relationships, but just the way that I was already a bit of a sweet word. Player. But I already had a very good relationship with most women I encountered. Not to say not to say like players, but I could talk to girls. I like from you lot know from school.
Check my record.
Check
my resume.
I could talk to females. I could converse with them and just had a good relationship. But that point there was I realized you're my nan had a conversation with me once, and she cried when she spoke about me ending up like my dad. That conversation there is one of the most prominent conversations that's ever been in my mind, because her crying at me being the bad side of her golden child, her like she puts my dad up there, but the fact that she didn't want me to be what the bad things that he is crushed me. And that point there where I hurt the person that I loved, that I realized I've done exactly what my dad did to my mum, and it then made me think about my mum, and it made me think about my nan. And it's one of them things that has stayed with me to this day, and you know, it's affected every relationship since.
Darren.
I'm just trying to think, man.
Bruv, you're about 4 or 5 man have been talking. You ain't thought of nothing yet, bro.
No, I'm just trying to think because, like I'm saying, I've cheated, but to be honest with you, I think that's just that was a learning curve, and it's made me the person that I am today in regards to relationships. I would have to go with the like
Saving.
yourselves, not saving, but just also when I say not saving, but just being more business savvy. I think I've had loads of opportunities where I have approached me, but not as glaring opportunities. But if I was just more open and receptive to opportunity, I would have seen it and been able to make something of it. Which is what I'm saying. And I think like that is still affecting me to this day.
Wow. Yeah. Do you get on this?
I'm jumping on. I'm very similar to Reeks, and I think that one of the biggest mistakes that I made was changing my heart. Like when you spoke earlier about she wanted the bad man, and growing up, I was very, very romantic, and I was just this whole thing about knight in shine. I was grown by girls, which is another story we talk about. Like my aunt screw me, so I had this thing that you want to be the right guy for the right woman, and then when you get hurt a couple times, you just switch. You know what I mean? Because you give that person that chance, and actually, if you dated me before 40, you're fucked. Like I'm just being real. Like since I've grown up now, I'm a good you. I've gone back to that. Do you know what I mean?
Same.
But in that little period after I got hurt a couple of times, I was just like, yeah, I'm not the right. But I'll date you. I'll date you. Yeah, but I'm not.
I ain't committed.
Yeah.
Just before we wrap up, I very, very quickly want to just go around to each person, just in a few words, just to say, obviously, we know about the upbringing now. What type of dad has that made you? Just in a very, very short, few words. Whoever wants to start.
I'll start. It's just made me a really engaged, active dad. Just engaged and active. Yeah.
With me, my whole childhood is obviously had a big impact on my way I am as a father. I feel that because my parents didn't play with me, so forth, I'm not really playful, for example. So I'll play 5-10 minutes here, 5-10 minutes there. But I'd rather, for me, I'll take my time and I'll take you places. I'll buy you gifts and I'll spend a lot of time with my children. But like with my wife, she'll play for fucking 45 minutes, hour top. I can't do that because it wasn't installed in me. Just what I mean. So I feel that for me is something that has affected me throughout my lifetime, and it's something I would love to be able to change, to be able to play a lot more than I do.
Be more
That's
affectionate.
Yeah,
that's interesting. You know, so.
I've taken the best parts from both of them. With my mum, the spirit of an angel, literally. My mum would give anything to her kids, anything. And I think that my dad, when he was younger, he's very like, you can do stuff like no obstacle, there's no obstacle, there's no limits. You could just do. Mum's the same. So for me, I represented my children possibilities, no limits, possibilities, and a lot of positivity. That's what I'm about with my kids. That you can do anything your mind, let's say what the mind can conceive, you can achieve. That's what I'm on. When you can think it, you can do it.
I'm definitely probably a mix between yourself and Dwayne. Time, presence, time and love and affection. Like that's the main thing. I try to expose some of my feelings to my children. A lot of the feelings that were maybe hidden from me, which I can understand why. I try to expose them to. I try to let my kids see me vulnerable, see me strong in every single way in order for preparation for them. But I just spend time and I try to be involved as much as I can in absolutely everything. There's no missing parents. I missed the parents' evening the other week. I was pissed. But actually, but apart from that, there's no missing parents' evenings, football matches, any extracurricular activities, homework, all of them sort of things. I try to involve myself and wrap myself up into that as well.
Yeah, same thing. I get very involved with my son, my daughter. I don't miss activities and miss events. Sometimes when I'm at work, obviously. But yeah, try to instill in them things that my dad wasn't there to instill. My mum was my mum, and my dad. My mum is my hero. She's everything. So
Love auntie.
So things that I couldn't get from my dad, I try to push that with my children. I'm very transparent with my son as well. We're very honest, very, I try to build a relationship with him to be a friend, but at the same time still be a dad.
Yeah.
Not too much of a friend. And not too much of a dad where he thinks that he can't tell me things because he's just only going to get in trouble. So, yeah.
Riggs?
My thing is, so I've grown up with constantly being told about communication by friends, by exes, so on. And that's something I try and install in my son. I try and get him to be a lot more open than what I am. Try and communicate a lot more, express his feelings, and not to ever hold back from anything. To constantly like strive to be more. I explain things that my parents didn't explain to me about race, about who they are, about believing in themselves. Because I don't think that was done. I'm not knocking my mum's parent and anything, but I think that's something that could have been installed in me a lot more. So I try and explain to my son, like, he doesn't have to follow anything. He has to express himself and be all that he can be, but be happy to be unique. Don't be worried by someone else, like people not feeling like the person you are. Like, you love yourself, like, and that's something I truly try and make him honestly like fully believe in.
Yeah, man. I try to just go by my life as well as my parents, and the things like you said, the mistakes that we had as young adults. For me, parenting is just about preparing your children for life. Do you know what I mean? So I was reading one article yesterday, and it was saying 13 things that good parents don't do. You know what I mean? And there were things that resonated with me and that didn't resonate with me. And one of the things were not parenting out of guilt. So a lot of people will subscribe to the child's guilt and give them what they want because of guilt. When really and truly, is that the best thing for your children? No. So for me, I take, like I said, my dad is my hero. My parenting style is imaged a lot of how he was, but I also try to use my experiences and my pitfalls in order to allow my children to try and avoid them. The most important thing is providing them with business sense, with that entrepreneurial spirit, and with the sense to say you can be free, like you can do whatever you want. Don't feel that you have to go and get a conventional 9 to 5 and work that, because that's just limiting yourself. You're
Something
more
they
than
didn't
that.
teach us in
Exactly.
school.
teach
They
that
didn't
all the
teach
time.
us
School
that
Do
in
not teach
school.
us that you're right. School,
Exactly.
school let us down, man.
100%.
Basic fundamentals that you need in life, school didn't
Yeah,
teach
they
us.
didn't
Exactly.
teach us that. They
Exactly.
taught us how to pass
Determination,
exams.
never give up.
But at the same
School
time,
is
it's
there
not
for
it's not the responsibility of the
there
school.
to teach
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
how to be
And
a
that-
perfect
and-
employee.
Yeah.
And that is what their
And that's
responsibility
what-
is.
yeah.
Our
School let us
responsibility
down,
to
school
change
let
that
us
child.
down.
Yeah, and that's
But listen,
that is what I do.
We've got to wrap up. I need to first of all thank the guests that we've got coming in today.
Big up
Salisbury,
yourself.
big up.
Nah,
Thank you
honestly.
so much for coming
Thank
in.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ravon, thank you so much for
Big up
coming in.
yourself.
Really
Big up
appreciate it,
yourself,
man.
man.
Just
Big up yourself.
as always, man. It's love, man. It's a show where we've kind of laid it bare, just to try and give you guys an insight about why we are the way we are, but ultimately why black men are the way that in which they are, and hopefully this gives more of an insight. And
We're complex.
you know, and I would say as well, just through some of the stories, there's diamonds that come through the rough, man. Serious, man. That's it is totally apparent. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. You know, click the bell for the notification. Make sure that you get notified when we're putting more videos up. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, man, we'll catch you on the next one, man.
Big up yourself, man.
Bless
Big
up, man.
yourself.
It's gonna be